They took this and made it into this. Oh man, this is quite the bold task because Splendor is a really beloved game. And turns out that the 2-player market for it is so big, they went ahead and made some crucial tweaks for a new version. And people love it. So now we've gone from turning raw gems into beautiful jewels to turning raw gems into beautiful jewelry and made it 2-player. We'll be mostly talking about Splendor Duel as if you've already played the original, because we played that OG one dozens and dozens and dozens of times and even commentated for it for a tournament. Splendor Duel is the same time length, still has gems, buy, spend for the middle cards. And so after playing it 3 times, let's see how it is. How to play. Goal is to get 20 points. You can also get 10 crowns, which are these symbols on cards, or 10 points from one color. Just like normal Splendor, you get points by buying cards with gems, using 1 action a turn. Twist is, you now pick up gems a bit differently. So instead of taking from fat stacks like normal Splendor, you're now grabbing them up to 3 in a row. That would be an action. Another action is to buy a card from the middle, and just like normal, spend gems and buy the card. If you have any cards in front of you of a gem color, they will discount future buys. So we get this one half off. Reserving is the same as OG. It's an action to reserve a card that only you can buy later, then you get a gold from the gem area. Golds are still wild. What happened when this empty though? Well, at the start of your turn, you can refresh it from the discard bag. This doesn't count as an action, but your opponent gets a privilege. Whoa, this is a new thing. So you can spend this privilege resource if you have it to take any gem you want at the start of your turn. This is not an action. Oh yeah, and some cards have crowns on them, meaning they help the crown win condition. But also if you get 3, you grab one of these royal people and they give you points and a one-time use ability. If you get 6 crowns, you get another one. That's all you need to know for now. Pros! Components are amazing! Everything comes out of this box with an amazing insert, and holy cow, these privileged scrolls are minis. The gem pieces are just like the original great ones, but they're smaller now. They are still great to clink around, and the other day I found out that they're part metal with magnets. Then those gems go inside this good feeling bag. Art is sick, and you have the new equivalent of nobles, the royals, with a cartoony look. Then the rest are just splendid jewelry. Nothing is confusing with icons or symbols while playing. Rulebook is good, hooray for reference on the back. First gameplay pro umbrella is that this is actually crunchier than normal Splendor. There's just more to think about. You got your spatial elements of picking up gems now, so you always watch for combinations of colors you want in a row. Then maybe pick them up in a way to deny what your opponent wants. If the board is fairly empty, is picking up 2 instead of 3 still worth it? Maybe you're super big brain and can play around the refill since it always refills from the center outwards. And there's some built-in penalties if you want to go harder, like picking up 3 of the same gem, or picking up 2 pearls, which is the new gem that is very rare. These both penalize you in giving your opponent free privilege. Oh yeah, Pearl, that's a huge new thing because there's no card that outputs it. And it's a cost for about half the cards, meaning that you constantly have to find time to grab it from the board or reserve to get a gold to buy them. Remember, this is about half the cards in the game, usually ones that are a bit stronger for their tier. But hey, you can just focus on the cards that don't need it. More crunchiness is that the cards have actual abilities now. These little symbols mean that when you buy the card, you trigger something right away, like more tempo in taking another turn, getting a free gem of that color, or getting privileged. For way more flexibility than was in base game, you can even copy another color of yours. Thinking after you're buying a card. There's also some cards that are worth 2 buying power. This isn't strictly an ability, but it does make you think differently. So with Splendor Duel, the designers took base Splendor about just worrying about points, cost, and color, and almost doubled the nuances of buying. There's no more objectively better than others cards like in base Splendor, because the cards in Splendor Duel feel much more heavily playtested, and that's good because 2 players is a realm where good balance shines. If we look at the turn structure, there's even decisions to take before you take your action because you can spend a privilege to take a gem for free or refresh the middle if it doesn't have the color you're looking for. This rewards you for mentally keeping track of what's been spent in this bag. We can zoom out from turns and look at the game structure too, because now with the 3 win conditions, you really have to decide what you're going for. You're not just blindly pursuing victory points. Usually you end up pivoting between the first 2, so balancing crowns or points. Then you have to be on the lookout just in case a player threatens the last one, which feels like a cool alternate win condition. These, and also the cards having their own abilities, has the side benefit of getting around the base Splendor issue where that if you played it seriously, it was almost always better to get cards with VP and ignore the nobles. Yeah, look up Tournament Advice if you're curious. The last gameplay pro is how Duel is just more interactive than base Splendor. You got the central board where you take gems others are looking for, pearls are good. Then abilities like taking gems for an opponent, like taking a crucial pearl or gold. With 3 win conditions, there's just way more counterplay, especially with the reserve mechanic being more nuanced because buys are more nuanced. As for progression pros, Duel moves at a more dynamic pace than the original Splendor. You got a more interesting game due to there being 5 cards on the bottom to buy now, so more to choose from, and many cards have abilities. These royals also have abilities, so figuring out when to get them if you even want to, and then maybe you can take the one that your opponent wants. There's a feeling of cycles as you refresh the central board, where there's surges of grabbing 3 in a row immediately when it refreshes. Then you see this grabbing slow down as there's now only 2 gems in a row, and then eventually once there's only 1 ofs, gem pickups super slow down. Maybe you're only picking up gems with this ability card or with privilege. Since the mid and high row cards have abilities, getting some of them do a lot for you in a turn, making the endgame dynamic. Shout out to this top row game ender, where if you get it, you copy one color that you already have, then you can take another turn, so you probably just buy something else. That's 20 points. As we wrap this up, Duel does have some replayability perks over base Splendor. The bottom row having abilities and there being 5 cards coming out instead of 4 does make initial moves quite different. And the way the central board fills up is slightly different, it's random. Sure, the royals you put out are all the same, but they all have different merits of rushing, so you can experiment with taking each of them first. Then just like base Splendor, this does run true to time at 30 minutes, although it's more complex, so you probably need at least 1 or 2 plays to get to that 30-minute mark. Cons! Scoring! Recommender score time. And this is gonna get a 10 out of 10! It is a masterpiece. It's even more of a gem than the original Splendor. For only 30 bucks MSRP for these components, this portable box is definitely worth picking up if you're looking for a Splendor cousin that is more complex. It's not really a gateway game anymore like Splendor is. It's now a game to play after you know your gateways. Splendor Duel, while solving some of our small problems with the predecessor, is a noticeable tick up in complexity. There's different phases of turns, there's a spatial element to gem harvesting, and then there's 3 times as many win conditions. This is way less streamlined of a game where originally people liked it because it was streamlined. I mean, at the minimum now, you have to keep track of 2 boards with all their moving stuff with actual symbols. We could easily see how some fans of this get overwhelmed with this. This is clearly for the more serious. It's also just more cutthroat than the original. Yeah, they're still hoarding certain colors to deny your opponent, but now you got blatantly stealing stuff from each other, and maybe you don't like how much more mean the gem pickup can feel, whether the other player is intentionally denying you or not. Basically, if you played a lot of Splendor 2P and want more and are okay with the more meanish gameplay, this is it. If you didn't like Splendor because you thought it wasn't crunchy enough, or maybe you felt like it was a bit repetitive because all you're doing is picking up gems and buying, Duel might solve your issues. But if you didn't like Splendor's basic premise, or if you just think this whole gem thing is way too dry, Duel is not going to change your mind. By the way, this review is brought to you by Doomlings, a lightweight strategic card game. In Doomlings, you have just been born and are starting life on the planet of Enderis. Your goal is to get as many traits as possible before the end of the world. Every round you'll be playing a card and giving yourself a new trait, which are all unique with their good and bad parts. Examples: someone will be getting victory points to make your Doomling stronger. Others can let you draw more cards. So as the game progresses, you'll be building more traits for your Doomlings, but life isn't that simple. After every round, an age card is flipped, adding a new rule to the game. These could be catastrophes, which will spell trouble for everyone, and when 3 are out, the game ends. Whichever Doomling species has the most points wins. Doomlings is fast and easy to learn to invite all your casual friends, yet with enough strategy to keep the game interesting for more competitive gamers. TLDR, it's for all ages and everyone, and plays 2 to 6 players. There's 400 unique cards for immense replayability. Use the link below to get 15% off your copy of Doomlings. Now on to my personal score. My personal score, I give Splendor Duel 7 out of 10. Good. For reference, I gave base Splendor a 6 out of 10, and that's mostly because I played it way too much, even though I find the core mechanisms of buying cards and getting discounts quite enjoyable. Something that kept irking me though is that the game just feels dry with a pasted on feeling theme to me, and with that, it does feel repetitive after a while. but I mean, I probably played it over 3 dozen times. So I thought, okay, this new version looks fantastic and physically feels fantastic, just like the original, but I don't have a need for Splendor to be more complicated. Then on turn 3, I immediately realized, oh, the decision space is way more crunchy in a manageable way. It's a breath of fresh air with different strategies to use with a similar vibe. Timing privilege is fun, timing the perfect refresh is good, and pivoting win conditions is the most satisfying. However, I don't rate this higher because yes, it's still a little bit dry to me, and it's just not crunchy enough that's gonna topple my go-to 2-player crunchy games like Ashes Reborn. And with its complexity, it's certainly not something I'd just bring out with anyone. So if you ask me to play Splendor 2P, I can't go back from this, and I'd always suggest Duel over base Splendor. But if my main group of gaming buddies wants to play Splendor, it's usually with 4 players, and we're playing it very casually. That was Splendor Duel. Let me know what you think of this format. Just trying to get more reviews out for you guys. And also, thank you to our patrons for making videos like this possible. Thank you to all you guys right here, over here. And then, yeah, this is a pretty good game. Masterpiece, huh? Quite surprising. Anyways, thank you to our Mad Lads of Cardboard right here. And that'll be it for February. A lot of videos and a lot more coming up.